So I woke up that morning and I felt defeated. I felt overwhelmed. I felt exhausted. I used the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to get out of bed. I make the bed so I don't crawl back into it. And I go to the bathroom. And I'm standing there in the bathroom and I'm brushing my teeth. And as I'm brushing my teeth, I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. And I think, oh my God, you look like hell. And then my mind started to criticize the woman in the mirror. The dark circles under her eyes, the saggy neck, one breast is hanging lower than the other, just the beat down begins. And then, of course, once you go there, you teach this, your mind is just going to keep on taking you down. And so it became, why did you get up so late? And you got a Zoom call in 8 minutes and you haven't even walked the dog. I suddenly found myself raising my hand and high-fiving that woman I saw in the mirror because she needed it. And here's the thing, it's not like lightning struck, right? Something in me shifted. It's like my shoulders dropped and my chin lifted. And I didn't even say anything positive. It's like there was this energy flip. Like, come on, you can do this. Like it was sort of that sort of, all right, here we go. But it was the second morning. The second morning is when everything changed. I wake up, same problems, same overwhelm, exhausted, defeated, tired. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I get out of bed. I make the bed. I start walking to the bathroom. I noticed that I was feeling something I had never felt in my for the first time in my life, I had this sensation that I was excited to see the human being, Mel Robbins. There are always two of you in the bathroom together. There's you, and there is a human being in the mirror, a person who needs you, a person who has been waiting for you to wake up and realize they are there, and they need you to see them and to hear them and to love them and to support them. And so what's interesting, because you brought up morning routines, right, is that we all talk about the importance of setting our day up because it's how it ends up. We talk about gratitude and meditation, and we know the extraordinary benefits of it. But I don't think anybody has truly amplified the fact that there is this dirty habit that we all have every single morning that is a part of your morning routine, unless you have weeded this out. And it is a habit of either ignoring yourself or beating the heck out of yourself every single morning. You're basically just going to look at yourself in the mirror and you're going to ask yourself, what does that human being need from me today? How can I show up for him or her or they? How do I do that today? Kindness? Do I need to be more courageous or bold? You kind of set this intention for yourself. And then you're simply going to raise your hand and you're going to high five yourself. Now, a couple things I want you to expect. Number one, it will feel weird, period. It feels weird for everybody because it is the opposite of what you're doing right now. And so your brain is going to reject it as odd. Number two, you're either going to have one of two reactions. That's it. There's no middle ground. You will either have a very profound positive experience where you're going to laugh, probably because it kind of feels good and it's kind of silly, or you're going to burst into tears in a positive way because it's a release that you have finally woken up and started supporting yourself. You just got it. And that's where the tears come from. But more likely, you will feel resistance. And the resistance is the dust on the mirror. Every single morning, Jay, we bring with us our entire past. Whatever's been done to you, whether it's trauma or discrimination or abuse or neglect or abandonment, it is standing between you and the mirror. It's the dust. And you see that dust and you say, that means that I am not worthy. I am not lovable. So you see a human being that's distorted and you say to yourself, because of what's happened, I don't deserve a high five. Or if you're a human being, you've done a ton of stuff that you regret. And so all the things that wish you could change, that you would forgive Jay or you'd forgive Mel Robbins for, you cannot forgive yourself. It's more dust. And so you stand there and you say, because of all that stuff that I did, I'm unworthy or I'm unlovable or I'm this or I'm that. And that dust keeps you from seeing a human being who deserves support and celebration. Or another form of the dust, which is the resistance, is that you actually believe that you do not deserve to be celebrated or supported unless you have the bank account or the number on the scale, or you drive in the car or live in the neighborhood, or your hair is less kinky, or you're this or you're that. And so you withhold the very support and celebration that you need in order to change your life from you because you haven't done it yet. That's where the resistance comes from. And so I'm here to say you got to try this for 5 days because it's going to feel weird. You're going to resist it. And what's going to happen is you'll notice as you raise your hand, and this is where the science gets amazing. As you raise your hand, Jay, you will go from thinking this is weird or thinking this is stupid to silence. And this is explained by science. There is a field of study called neurobics. Neurobics is a word that I did not invent. It is aerobic or physical movement with new neural pathway development. And research has shown that when you use neurobics, it is the fastest way to form new neural pathways. So the way that you do it is you take an unexpected physical movement, like high-fiving yourself, something you've never done, and you marry it with a thought. All of it is programmed in your subconscious brain. So you cannot look at yourself in the mirror and think terrible things while you're high-fiving yourself because your brain won't allow it.
Right.
It is programmed to think something different. And as you repeat this every day, just 5 days, dear God, give me 5 days of doing this, you will override the critic and you will reprogram your mind to associate belief, love, encouragement, support, resilience with your own reflection. This is why I don't even see myself in terms of a body anymore. I see a human being that I love, that I support, just like I would a friend or a child that I love unconditionally. When you high-five somebody else, your brain drips dopamine. The reason why when you do this, even on a low morning, you get a boost in your mood and a little bit of clarity is you get a drip of dopamine by high-fiving yourself. Again, because the programming is already in your brain. You're just now turning it from everybody else and giving it to yourself. When you cross a finish line, you raise your arms. When you hug somebody, you raise your arms. When you high-five somebody, you raise your arms. When you do this every morning, especially when you're going through a challenging moment, your nervous system recognizes the celebratory gesture and gives you a jolt of energy. Is that not incredible? It flips it on for you. And I want you to do it right after you brush your teeth because you got to get that crap out of your mouth so you don't spread the dragon breath on everybody. Let's get the crap and the dust off the mirror so you're not spreading that negativity throughout your day and you're walking into your day feeling like you have your own back and feeling that life force that you were born with and being reminded that, yeah, life may be hard. Yeah, I may have screwed things up, but I know I'm still here trying and I deserve to feel supported. And so I'm going to tap into this to send myself out into the game. You know, one of the really cool studies, I'm sure you loved the study about the NBA teams. I know you've talked about this yourself. This is both common sense and science. How does your favorite sports team begin the game? By high-fiving each other to send yourself out into the game. But when researchers actually studied NBA teams, they could predict who's going to be the most successful teams at the end of the season and who's going to be at the bottom of the league based on one characteristic at the beginning of the season in the preseason. And that is, how many times does the team in the preseason do fist bumps, high fives, or pats on the back? And what they found is it's the teams that do that the most in the beginning have the winningest record. And the question is why? Well, the reason why is these gestures are more than gestures. They are symbols of trust and partnership. They build momentum. And so many of us are struggling in life with people pleasing and guilt and all of these emotions because we have broken that partnership with ourselves. And this is a way every morning after brushing your teeth, we're going to stack this habit. Put the toothbrush down, pick up your hand, look yourself in the mirror and say, how am I going to show up for that human being today? And seal it with a high five. That's it. Your mood in the morning impacts your confidence and your productivity all day. We know that research from Harvard tells us that when you get intentional about how you're going to show up, it not only boosts your productivity and your confidence and your focus, it also changes your ability to make an impact with people. We also know all the research around what's called emotional contagion. Your brain filters the world based on what you tell it is important to you. This works in positive and negative ways. Trauma is an example of how your filter gets trained by a very negative event. It becomes very important because your nervous system responded to it, so your brain records as much as it can to try to protect you. A positive way is by saying something that you talk about, the writing out of your goals, the having visual and environmental triggers that keep these things front of mind. These are ways to train your brain for a positive effect. So one of the things that happens when you start to high five yourself, and why it goes so much deeper even than the boost and the partnership, is that what happens is you're now tapping into an entire field of research called behavioral activation therapy. You know all the science. If you don't know it, there's a very simple way to talk about it. It's called act like the person you want to become. And the reason why this is so important is we know thinking alone won't get you to change. You actually have to take the actions that change everything. And one of the reasons why high-fiving yourself is such a powerful action is the bouncer in your brain, the RAS, it's paying attention. When it suddenly sees you stop the beat down and it sees you act differently, it sees you acting like somebody who actually cares about you, who celebrates you, and who sees the high five, it will switch in real time and start to see the world in a way that reflects back the fact that you deserve love and support. So the more that you act like somebody who loves and supports and believes in themselves by high-fiving themselves, the more your brain changes and the more your reality changes. What it changes is you and your ability to face those things and your resilience and your belief that through your attitude and your actions, you can make a positive difference in those things.
Yeah.